Welcome back to In Pursuit of Magic, where we explore the things that inspire us, connect us, and the magic we find along the way. I'm Matthew Medina, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by a talented actress who's brought some of the most complex, magnetic, and unforgettable characters to life on screen. She first captured audiences' attention with her powerful lead performance in the film Towelhead. She's been part of some incredible projects like Lucky 7, iZombie, Law and Order SVU, Horse Samosas, and one of my favorites growing up, Return to Halloween Town. Best known to many for her breakout role as the bold and brilliant Margo Hansen in one of my favorite shows, The Magicians. I'm incredibly excited to welcome the incomparable Summer Bishil. Summer, thank you for being on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and the wonderful introduction.
It's amazing seeing your resume and all the incredible stuff you've been part of and the range of that too. I mean, you've had serious roles, more comedic roles, badass roles. They've kind of been this huge range of characters and always complex. Like there's always a lot of layers to each of your characters.
Yeah, I've been so lucky. I've been very fortunate. Even with Return to Halloween Town, it's funny you brought out a genie lamp. I remember I played a genie, so I had a
Yep.
genie lamp, and it was one of the first times I had had to handle a prop in one of the scenes. And the prop guys kind of had a laugh with me, and they're like, if you break it, that's it. There's only one genie lamp. Of course, there's always a double, but
Yeah.
I had so little experience even standing on a mark or, with working on a set that, it's funny that you brought up the genie lamp because that was my first business with props.
Which is amazing because it was definitely not the end. I mean, you went on to use so many props in your roles and deal with a lot of
Yeah.
magic. So that's
I
incredible.
became familiar with business. I think I've mastered it now. I don't, I don't want to say that, but I do pretty well with multiple props now
I would
because
say
of
so.
Margo.
Yeah. I mean, that
Uh,
role really took a lot, to play that character. And they had you doing a lot of different things, probably things you never expected to do.
I could have never in a million years thought that I would have had the opportunity to explore the dimensions of the character that they created, and much less for 5 years. It was such a gift, and it's still a gift that keeps on giving. I mean, it's so fun to do conventions and connect with fans of the show who still connect with it and are still watching it maybe at a different time than it was on air, but are still watching it. And I meet people all the time that are like, I know that show, that show. And sometimes they don't know the name of it necessarily, and then they put it together because I wore an eye patch for so long.
I
So
know.
unless I'm speaking or my chickenpox scars, because I have chickenpox scars, sometimes that's how
Oh,
people recognize me.
never knew that. Yeah.
They're pretty subtle, but I do have that. Sometimes I've been recognized from previous work from that, and
Wow.
because all my roles have been very different. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to meet people who recognize me from different stuff. It's like, "Oh my god, I did that when I was 17." Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's so many roles you were doing at a younger age. I mean, the breakout role in Towelhead was really bold and complex for like a big debut. And especially at
Yeah.
that age, how do you think that experience shaped you as an actress and looking back at it now?
It taught me everything I know. And looking back at it now, I have more gratitude for it as I continue my craft because one of the things that is a gift when you're not experienced or haven't been trained professionally, I never trained professionally, is you can operate from instinct and honesty. And that's all I knew to do on that set. Just tell the truth and be as honest as possible when those cameras are rolling and follow your instincts. And so that guided me through that film and really anchored me in a way as an actor and has helped me continue to come back to those principles of what I believe leads to good quality work and that is fulfilling to do. Just telling the truth. It's pretty simple. It's very simple. It was not a lot of people think it must have been incredibly taxing to play that role. It was a very joyous set to be on. Everyone was wonderful. And I was constantly learning about craft from the best people. So it's my foundation, long story short.
Yeah, not everyone gets that on a production, which is what makes it so special too. And I think it goes to
Yeah.
show also the humanness in the stories that you've been part of and have been able to tell. I think even with the fantastical roles, there's this human element in it that's very real and very relatable and genuine and sincere. And I think that's why your roles and your characters last and like stick around and really make a connection with people.
Thank you. I try and, something I'm thinking about now with craft because it's a relationship that someone has. And now it's a relationship that has gone on for 23 years. I can't or 20 years. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
So long. So your relationship to your craft changes and shifts and yeah, it never fails when in doubt to just tell the truth. It's good in life and on camera.
It's just funny you mentioned truth because I feel like Margot is a character who sometimes is very, very honest about things,
Yeah.
which people love her for. She's a very iconic scene stealing character. Funny, fierce, vulnerable, unapologetic. What do you think
Yeah.
surprised you most about how fans connected with her, and which part of her feels closest to you as Summer?
When they were writing for the role of Margot, and I was getting this material in real time, all I could think about was the material and serving the material and serving the text and having as much fun as I possibly could, enjoying the process. Um, so I wasn't so intellectual about it. I wasn't really thinking about what others might perceive it to be. I was just so excited to be doing such exciting work. And so that's all I thought about. And it was joyous. It was not stressful. And ideas came to me naturally and spontaneously because I was enjoying what I was doing. Does that answer your question? Have I
Yeah.
gone on a
I think
tangent?
that's like where a lot of the magic happens. I mean, I've heard from a lot of people that finding joy in the process is where the magic lies. Because
Yeah.
if you're not enjoying it, if you're overthinking it, it just
Yeah.
feels too much like you're slogging through it instead of doing what you're loving.
Yeah, and it's not so much that I didn't care if people were gonna like my character, I'm not gonna lie. Nobody wants to be on a show and be a character that nobody likes, and, you can't think about the result. You have to think about their truth and just tell their truth. So it was very nice when people liked her. Like, I thought nobody was gonna like my character.
Not only was she so likable and fun to watch, but the fact that her character arc was so complex and get to see her grow in those 5 seasons to a point where I mean, people are ride or die for her. People would want her to be a real person in their life that would ride or die for them. Like that's
I
the kind of
want
character she
Margo.
is.
Yeah, yeah, I
Well,
want Margo in
well,
my
I was
life.
gonna say, I feel like you have channeled some of her or put a lot of yourself in her because I see a lot of that strength in you and your resolve, and so it's
Thank you.
incredible to see the way that you connected with that character, and I feel like it shows so clearly that that's why people loved the character so much.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think she's who I wanted to be at a lot of points too. Like a lot of times she was the performance on the day would be a projection of what I wanted to a quality I wanted to possess but did not have. So I could portray strength and courage in ways that I didn't necessarily have and a bluntness that I don't possess naturally. So, yeah, it was a fun way to project a personality that is pretty divergent from me, but definitely I admired.
Which I think could be a great like avenue to express yourself in a different way, and you get to like put on this mask for a day and then take it off again, but you get to explore those feelings, which is nice because yeah, I think even myself, like watching Margot, is like, man, I wish I could be a little bit more like Margot. And
Yeah, me
I
too.
think when
Yeah,
wanting to be that way, maybe there's moments and decisions in our life or conversations that we have to have where we can think, well,
yeah,
how would Margot handle this?
yeah. I mean, she was so resilient. She was so resilient and so flexible and so dexterous. She could
Yeah.
adapt to dire circumstances with a positive and survivalistic outlook. So she stayed immovable in changing circumstances that were difficult. But I did like the evolution of when her strength became a softer strength. It wasn't so mu because she was rageful. She was full of rage. So And anger is an addiction, and it's adrenalizing, and it's motivating, and it's a way to avoid all sorts of difficult and scary emotions. So she was very flawed in her delivery at times. And I think it was really important to me towards the end of the series to when she sacrifices herself to not put so much weight on it anymore. 'Cause I don't think at that point she was trying to prove anything to herself or anyone anymore. I think she was no longer living in conflict with who she was. And so there was I don't know if the word is softening, but just not she just was not as reactionary as she had once been, and she didn't have as much to prove, and I really wanted her character to feel peaceful and lighter by the end because she was still the same strong woman, but without all of the rage. Because I think that was an
Yeah.
unhealthy coping mechanism.
And I think it absolutely came through by the end of the series. I mean, it felt like a very peaceful way to end the show and leave things open and possibilities of what those characters might be doing. And
Yeah.
in terms of, like you said, identity and all that, that's very important. I think not only with characters, but I know for actors, and Hollywood can be a tough place for anyone. But you have a multicultural background, and I'm curious how that's influenced the roles you've chosen and the way that you navigate Hollywood. Because I think it's been kind of amazing looking back at your career.
Thanks. I mean, I growing up, I didn't think too much about, my background necessarily. I just thought about my dreams and I thought all my dreams could happen in Hollywood. And I just auditioned and hoped for the best and listened and learned. And, you know, I had good guides, I had good people around me. I think, when I was very young when I started, I was very self-aware, actually. I'm not gonna take that away from myself. I've always been very self-aware, but I wasn't thinking about things in a meta way, really. Like, when you're 18, 19, and I was working a lot then, and a lot of exciting things were happening, you're not like, "How is my" you're just enjoying it,
Yeah.
really, and learning and pivoting and, like, figuring out, like, "Oh my god, I'm so lucky, but I have to work really hard." And it's just I don't know that Hollywood is a tough place, actually. I think that any place is just what you make of it. How you receive anything is what's going to be given back to you. So I didn't really have this like attitude of like expecting anything to happen other than I loved what I did. I was painfully shy. Like I was on a children's show, Drake and Josh, and when I had to go out in front of the live audience, I still remember to this day my, like, legs were trembling. So a lot of times I was just thinking about, like, this big dream I had, but I had no idea how I was gonna get there, like, how I was even gonna overcome the shyness, and you just keep learning and you just keep getting lucky, and there's lean years too, and then you have to
Yeah.
stay strong.
I mean, I love that perspective too, because I feel like it's such a healthy way to look at things and hopeful, which really aligns with how I've always tried to live myself and the things that I'm drawn towards. So I'm also
Yeah.
curious about those harder moments when they come and how you manage to overcome them and push through and don't let it put out your light.
Yeah. I think sometimes I write poetry, and I think I can come off in my poetry if you don't know me or something. Because social media to me, I forget. It's not just like the 10 friends I grew up with, you know? People have watched a show I've been on, and there's a lot of people now that are probably watching other than, like, friends and family, and sometimes I'll still, like I don't do it anymore, but I would post poetry, and the response is always loving and wonderful. But I think maybe sometimes people can be worried about me or think, like, I'm thinking darkly or not, like, as buoyant as I actually am. Like, I'm not afraid of suffering. It has to happen in order to have joy. So I don't
Wow,
turn away from suffering, and it can be very painful and ugly and hard, but I always know it's gonna pass to something better. So I think I'm a pretty light person intrinsically. So I always believe in a better tomorrow. And if you believe in a better tomorrow, then there's better things are going to happen, you know? So not to say
absolutely.
like manifest things, but honestly, yes, manifest.
Yeah, I mean that really aligns with how I feel about life, and I keep proving, or life keeps proving that correct over and over again in life, which is amazing to see. And it brings me back to the idea in the magicians that magic comes from pain. And I don't know, there's something beautiful and layered about that where I do think, like you said, whatever someone's going through, like there is a better tomorrow. There's magic that can come after that. And I mean, I feel like everyone has gone through that in their life, and it's up to them to decide what to do with those moments and whether to make something magical or not. And it's clear that
Yeah.
you keep doing that. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, and it's also, like, okay to sometimes not be able to see the light and throw away some time. I think we're hard on ourselves collectively. People who I speak to and listen to, we can feel collectively hard about wasting time on sorrow or sadness or, "Oh gosh, if I had only thought of this or that." But even when you aren't always light or you don't stay positive all the time, as long as you're willing to accept, ownership of that and move forward, there's always possibilities. But it's like you have to be accountable for yourself. It's not just all sunshine and rainbows to be happy. That's what I'm trying to
Agreed. Yeah, and one
say.
thing I keep learning too is not to limit myself. I think sometimes I get stuck in that zone of thinking like, well, I guess this is all I'm capable of, or this is all I can do, and I
Yeah.
kind of just sit with that, and I'm like, well, why? Who's saying that except me? You know? And learning that lesson has been difficult and something I have to keep relearning.
Yeah, and there's no shortcut because if you could change overnight, it wouldn't that's not normal. So
Yeah.
that expectation isn't even normal because it wouldn't be healthy. Something would be wrong if someone could completely shift who they are overnight. I'm not sure that's naturally possible or something that should be done, but it is definitely hard. I mean, I've definitely been my biggest bully, but when you can say that to yourself and say, "Okay, it's me. I'm the one saying these mean things about myself."
Which means you have the power to do the opposite too, and to like pick yourself up again, which I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm wondering what are some things that keep you grounded and bring you joy when you're not on set?
I mean, writing always, it's always been it was my first love. Like I wanted to be a writer. My first I was one of those like overachiever kids with like a notebook of goals, like become a writer. Just the most ambitious, wild things that I'm now like, what are you talking about? But I wanted to be a writer. I still write to this day constantly. I'm
Awesome.
constantly writing prose. I read a lot. I've always read a lot. And I do a lot of cardio now. I'm fortunate enough that my
Awesome.
favorite pastime of cardio is now a thing I can do. So I run a lot. Not I don't run a lot. I do a lot of cardio. I actually don't run anymore too much. I do more like stationary bike, stairmaster, swimming. I grew up as a swimmer.
Wow.
So honestly, that's how I prepare as an actor, is how I would prepare for swim meets because a lot of winning a swim meet is visualization and beating your times is visualization practice, envisioning yourself in the water, envisioning yourself coming through on the goal. So I do a lot of swimming and friends, and I'm very close to my family. And yeah, just a lot of long walks, simple life.
Which I think is important. It's like time with yourself and then time with the people you care about.
Yeah, little things, like, I'm teaching myself how to cook now.
Oh, awesome. What's your favorite meal that you've cooked so far?
So far, a Coca-Cola cake.
Ooh,
I am
that actually
early
sounds really
days
good.
I'm early days in my learning to cook. Yeah, it was really good. I surprised myself. I did some chocolate chip cookies too. I really enjoyed
Wow.
those. So there's a lot of baking happening. I've always been good at spaghetti bolognese, but my menu needs to expand.
I think the same
Yeah.
thing. Like I have an interest in cooking. I just have to take the time to actually like try to make other things.
I'm really becoming very interested in cooking, very interested in it. I become very myopic in my hobbies. Like I'll get very interested in a subject or topic and it'll be all I'm interested in for a while.
That's awesome though, because then you get to like learn a whole new skill.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm curious in terms of advice you would give to your younger self when you were just starting out. Is there something you have in mind that you've learned over time that you would tell yourself?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know exactly. Just chill out. And the world is not against you. Yeah.
I think it's a good piece of advice just because I think at any age we tend to feel like we're too in our head and anxious all the time. And then we get a little older and we're like, why was I so worried? Like now it's time to worry. And then we get a little older again and it's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, and then some storms come and we're like, this will be the one that breaks me." And then you find more in you and it just yeah. But cooler heads always do prevail, so I wish I woulda just kept it chiller.
It almost feels like leveling up in a lot of ways as you get older. And then you're like, you're capable of taking on more and doing more and surprising yourself.
Well, it sort of circled that my train of thought right now is circling back to what I was trying to make. The point about Margo at the end, her leveling up at the end was letting go of a lot of that stuff. And it can be really hard to let go of a lot.
Yep. I'm a big believer in therapy and mental health. And I think a lot of it is letting go of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, speaking of Margot, her character was given the title of High King Margot the Destroyer, lovingly by Elliot. If you could give yourself a title as Summer, what would it be?
Honestly, I'm on the same note she ended on. Summer the creator now. You know?
Like
Really?
that.
It was kind of the same journey, if I'm being honest.
And completely believable. I mean, the fact that you're doing so much, you're writing, you're reading, you're exercising, you're baking and acting, like you're doing all these things and
She
creating.
was baking towards the end, you remember? Yeah. I had a whole breakdown in a desert too, probably. No, I didn't.
I was
Maybe
gonna
I
say
should.
that episode has become iconic, yeah, because I feel like it was relatable for a lot of people to be like, you know what? I've had a moment like that in my life.
That was her dark night of her soul. I mean, that was a deeply complex episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I loved it at the time. And it's really, really old, but that was my fan art that I had tweeted at the time
I love
of
it.
you in the
I love it.
desert. So
I
yeah,
loved that I was not wearing like a lot of makeup. I don't want to say I
yeah,
wasn't wearing any makeup because you're always wearing a little bit, but I wasn't wearing a lot or thinking about any of that. And my hair was my natural texture because her character was very specific. Her look was very specific in what world she was in. And this was a world in which she couldn't have all of that. And that's more what I like to vibe on. If I don't have an audition or something, it's like I like to be natural. So it was like also comfortable.
yeah. And I feel like it also just added to the metaphor of her being so vulnerable in that episode, and not her
Yeah.
usual self around other people.
No. Yeah, that was a really gosh, that was so much fun.
It's definitely up there as one of the top episodes of the entire series. So yeah,
Oh,
it lives as a legend, I think.
thank you.
On the flip side of that question, we've only known each other for like a half hour now. But I'm curious if you had to give me a title, what do you think that would be?
Medina the Magic?
Okay.
Medina me
Magical.
magic. Medina me
No, I
magic.
like the alliteration.
Medina me magic.
Well, you
Ah,
have had so many sharp, cutting one-liners and fashion senses, Margot. I'm curious if there was one outfit in particular that you would have loved to steal, or a line that like lives rent-free in your head.
heck yeah. I mean, there were so I mean, Ovary Up constantly. I'm like,
I was thinking that earlier this week.
yes. And it just gets better. Every time I'm just like, damn, they were genius to think of that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to say that, you know? But as far as costume, I didn't have to steal anything because I was very close with our costume
Oh,
designer. So if I
awesome.
liked something, I could ask, and I would keep it.
I
But
love it.
obviously, if it was in work or process of work, you can't keep your stuff. But God, I mean, I loved everything I wore. It was so dope. I mean,
Yeah.
there's one velvet bolero that I wish I had kept though. I don't know who kept it. It was like a velvet bolero. And it was just
Oh,
gorgeous. And honestly, I would wear it. I would wear it out, like, with a cute dress. Like, so much of her looks could have been worn, like, just out.
I wonder if it was in the auction when they were selling stuff, because there was a whole auction
I
of props and
wonder.
costumes.
Oh, I wonder. I
Yeah.
mean, I have some stuff. It's so funny. My mom actually found the other day an old eye patch in
No,
her
funny.
and she thought, "What is this doing in my car?" And I thought, "I don't know. I mean, they're everywhere still."
Yeah, the one I won from the auction, I think it's this one, and I think it was just like an extra
I
one that
remember
they
that
didn't
one.
glamorize yet. Like they didn't put stuff on or whatever. It's
No, I
just the claw.
remember that. So that was towards the end. So that was season
Oh,
5 when
really?
she was flitting between stuff
Oh,
or
nice.
in yeah, there was some stuff with that one. I remember that.
Well,
I
that's good
do
to know.
remember a more under there was a couple because sometimes she would be behind she'd be turning into a werewolf and her
Yeah,
look would be less glam and so many eye patches.
and
Yeah.
always intricately designed, which is incredible.
Oh my god, I know. Yeah, I mean, and everyone's like, "Was it hard?" And I mean, it wasn't, like, easy. I wasn't like, "This is the easiest thing I've ever done," but it didn't I didn't feel like it was taking something out of me
Right.
to wear an eye patch all day. Like, 'cause I would take breaks, and you would just make up the one eye, and you're not, like, constantly in the eye patch.
It's true.
So, it wasn't that everyone thinks, "Oh my god, that must have been so hard."
Well, the whole show seemed like it was a lot of fun to kind of be immersed into these big sets and even the outdoor scenes and switching back and forth between the real world and break bills and fillery and kind of transporting all over the place. So it's fun to hear also like your experience and how you enjoyed yourself for a lot of that show.
Yeah, I mean, because, not everyone has good experiences, right? And I did. So it's like it's great to have been on a show for so long and have it been fun. And like I grew as an actor and like a human too.
Yeah.
It was just like a really good it was a very stabilizing thing to happen in my life because I booked it I had done Lucky 7 when I was, like, 25, and then it was canceled, and I was so sad, and,
Yeah.
I auditioned and, did some roles and stuff, and, you never know what's gonna go. And when I got Magicians, it was just at the right time in my life, and when we finally went to series, I was 27, I think, and it was just a good time to just have something that good and positive in my life to keep me grounded and stable and focused. So it was
Huh.
like an incredibly stabilizing thing for me, actually. Yeah.
I could see that being the case. I think especially like in your 20s and and just needing that kind of environment and being around other people like in a similar age group and going through that together. Which was it last year or the year before that you went to a convention I think with Hale, Stella, a couple of others.
Yeah. Yeah, we all went last it was August. I did 2 cons. I was so excited to do cons because, I just wasn't flying a lot for a long time, and so I hadn't done a lot of cons. So it was really kind of my first go at it, really. It was, like, my 2nd con ever and my first in, like, I don't know, it was, like, 6 years, and I
Wow.
did 2, and it was so fun. And I got to go to Atlanta, and I had never been there. And I'm a huge, like, Vampire Diaries
Oh,
fan,
nice.
and I was, like, kidding myself thinking I would have time to, like, go see anything, like, shooting locations, because 'cause
Yeah.
I'm a total geek, because cons are so time consuming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't get to do any fan stuff, but
Well, you have to go again just to fan out yourself.
I do, I fan out. There was a couple people there that I was like, "Oh my god," it's fun.
It's always a fun experience, and I feel like the Magicians fandom is really enthusiastic and really loving in terms of what the show is. And I know for me, it was very special and got me through a lot of tough times. I think
Yeah.
I related to the characters and their age range and things that they were going through in my life, and I clung on to a lot of those lessons, like magic comes from pain, and really clung on to it to a point where I don't think I would be doing this podcast if not for that show. So just thank you for putting your heart into Margot because it shows on screen and she's such a special character to me.
Thank you. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
And speaking of roles, I know you have a couple of things coming up. There's a series called The Deli that's on the way with Rizwan and Trevor. So I'm very excited about that. What can you share about it if you can at all?
I'm not sure about what's happening there. I can't really speak on that. I shot that actually a while ago.
Okay.
So that was shot it was so much fun. I guess it was like a reunion. That was shot I'm not sure on the dates, quite a while ago, but I just wrapped something else called Days of Dan Dakar that is
Yes.
really exciting, and I had a blast on, and it's shot in LA, which is always fun. It's just fun to shoot in your hometown. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too. Like, what can you share about that plot? Because it's a drama, right?
I would say dramedy. I would
Nice.
say there's so much humor in it, which is always fun for me because I like comedy. I mean, I know exactly what I want to achieve. I want to do comedy. You know, that's what I want to manifest. So I'm always happy if I'm filming in LA and doing comedy. It's just nice to see. I'm seeing more productions in Los Angeles. Like I
Yeah.
was just walking down the street in Pasadena the other day and I was just like filming in progress. And it's like, oh, it's good to see that.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I'm in New York, and for a while I was seeing less stuff here in New York, and there's still not a crazy amount like there used to be. Because I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff is going to Atlanta or Canada, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I know. Atlanta films so much that I can't believe I had never been to Atlanta because so much films there.
I know.
I've spent most of my working life outside of the country. Lucky Seven filmed in Toronto. I
Oh,
love Toronto. Vancouver's the best too. Like
I've heard a lot of good things. People love to shoot over there.
I love it. I love the rain because I grew up in deserts. So I don't like to like you'll never catch me sunbathing like by a pool
Right.
because I'm a swimmer. So I'm like the point of a pool is to do laps. And I'm like, give me rain and like a fireplace because that's exotic to me.
Understandable. And so, for you, what do you think would be a dream location around the world to film in?
Right now, Los Angeles, California. Right now, yeah, for many reasons. Yeah. I love this city. I love Los Angeles. And, like you asked me earlier in the interview, like, what was it like coming from, a different background and coming here and Hollywood can be this and that. To me, Hollywood's always been a lighthouse, been a very positive thing in my life and my dreams came true here. So I would love to film something here. But I would go a lot. They're all nice places to go. But yeah, I have a
Would you
sweet
ever
spot
consider
for LA.
writing something that would film in Los Angeles?
I have written things and I am writing and I continue to. I'm actually writing. I've gone back to something I wrote a novel when I was like in my 20s and now I'm
Oh,
developing it as a scripted series, but with a little more sophistication than I had in my 20s. So I do write constantly and it is a goal of mine to write
love it.
a show and film. I'm writing a independent film right now. I would be an independent film. I'm writing a script right now that would be an independent film if it ever got made, right? But yeah, no, I would not just consider it. I'm actively doing it because I don't think you can wait for opportunities to come. I mean, you'll just go crazy. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't still happen, but it's not healthy to just sit around and wait. So
Completely. And I think when you're someone who's a creative that also likes to make things and to write things, that's another kind of part of your soul that you need to feed. And so I think it's really important to do that and marry the two.
yep. And you have to be honest in both too. So it's a way to keep me in touch with my craft, my of acting. Because to be good at writing, you have to tell the truth. And
Yeah.
it's like what you don't want anyone to read. It's like and it's the same with acting. It's like it really is. It's like it's what you don't want people to see. It's not the performance that you are okay with people seeing.
Yeah. And I think that's why, it takes so much vulnerability to put yourself, whether it's on screen or in a room where you're sharing your writing and other people have to now like read it and interpret it and talk about it. And I could see that being a little overwhelming. And so how is the process for you where you're able to kind of still love what you're doing and your passion and heart and souls in it, but know also how to navigate that kind of, I guess, atmosphere of how things have to be shared with others?
You know, I think we choose what we share. And if something feels uncomfortable, you can pull back at any time and choose to share less. But also as far as, being vulnerable enough to tell the truth in writing or in acting in art, I think that the toll to someone's soul is a lot higher to not be vulnerable and tell the truth. Like it feels like it's the difficult thing to do, but it's the simplest thing to do. It's actually what we're designed to do is to tell the truth and be honest and vulnerable and not turn away from our humanity. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I feel like part of that lesson is also understanding yourself and your own value, which can also be very difficult when you're creative, because I feel
Mhm.
like it's so easy to tie your value and how you see yourself into the things that you're creating and how people may be perceiving it or taking it. And so I'm wondering
Mhm.
what advice you would give to others who are trying to chase something or create something and do something, and where they should actually find their value in a way that those harder moments won't stop them in their tracks.
I would say they should find their value from within and trust themselves and not seek external permission or value outside of themselves and seek it from within and be autonomous. Because I think the best performances are when the actor is completely certain of what they are doing. For me, I don't know what other people do or their process or how it feels when they do a great job. When I've been proud of my work, it's when I've been most certain of my work. And that certainty can only come from yourself. And if you really want to be great at what you do, I really think that sometimes if you are going to take advice from people and look to people to learn, to actually learn, then listen. Like really listen, not hear what you want to hear, which is you're doing a good job. It's fine because improving at craft is not like a judgment. That's what I would say. Like invite direction, invite insight, and tell the truth to yourself because it's very dangerous when a person starts lying to themselves and hiding their real desires, their real truths, their real pains. And then if you start doing that in your own life, you're not going to be able to do good quality work as an actor. So it's just be honest with yourself, seek from within. Honestly, I used to look a lot outwardly. I really did. And it's a dangerous thing to do. And it's a high price to pay. And it feels like the easier thing to do to be like, what should I do? But figuring it out for yourself is really like I think it's just the only way. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what's worked for me, just trying to be more honest.
I mean, that's definitely, well, first of all, I wanted to say that's a very Margot answer, which is, it was incredible to just see the you that exists within that character, because it's definitely coming from you, number one. But it's also a
Thanks.
lesson I've had to learn even starting this podcast, and I think for me, the push that finally made me go ahead and start this alone and take the chance was uh, last year. My wife was pregnant. We were expecting a little girl. And all I could think of was, I want to be able to have her look at something I made. I wasn't afraid to take a chance and followed my dream because I want her to do that. And
Yeah.
that was the nudge I needed, I guess. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I pushed ahead and here I am. And I'm almost at 50 episodes and you're here, which is incredibly magical and special. So I
Yeah.
think it's a very important lesson, like you said, and I think, yeah,
Yeah.
finding your value in yourself and can often be difficult. But like you said, I think the price is too great to do anything otherwise.
It is. It feels like it's not, but yeah. And even learning that lesson as when you still have life in you is like such a privilege. So it's like, I think that's what the magic is. It's just, yeah. Having learned those lessons at the age I've learned them, I think I feel really grateful because anything can happen from there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And it's amazing you talked about also like not being afraid to ask for direction and like be open to like listening, because I've heard other guests say stuff like, they've been filming something and, the director would be like, "Oh, that was great." And, yeah, maybe, and they're just like, just tell me what you need. Like, give it to me.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of times if you're dealing with a writer or the director is also the writer, it just depends. They know exactly what they're looking for, and it is their text and it's their baby. And
Yeah.
that makes it less complicated for me when I know I'm serving someone else's text. I'm not serving anything I've written. So, it's it's just information direction. It's like it's help.
Well, and you're in a perspective also where you're a writer and you're an actor. And so I'm curious, in the future, would you have the desire in you to do both for a project and also direct?
I used to say like I would never direct, like ever, 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 ever. But the more I write and the more protective I become over the things I write, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be one of those control freaks that like writes it, wants to direct it, be involved in every aspect of it. So for sure, probably. I thought, no way I'll ever direct because it's a hard
It
job.
is, yeah.
It's very hard. So, and there's opportunities when you're like on a long running show, you can shadow directors
Yeah.
and do that. And I chose not to because I knew how hard it was. So, but yeah, I think if I wrote something, I'd want to direct it. Yeah.
Well, I think like we said, we keep surprising ourselves, and so I could see it happening, and I think it'll happen sooner rather than later. But you're getting to that point. I mean, you're putting in the work and you're channeling all your energy.
Yeah. You gotta put in the manifestation.
Exactly. Putting it out there. And in terms of manifestation, I'm a big believer in that and creating magic. And I think some people when they talk about manifesting things, it's kind of just like, I'm just putting out good vibes. But for me, I think part of it is putting out the good vibes so you will believe it and take action on it. One of my favorite quotes from the Disney movie Princess and the Frog was like, wish on that star. But like, you got to remember, you got to put in the work to make it happen too.
You do. You do. And it is like the action part is so important. Like the action part. Something I'm learning is like you can be anxious, sad, worried about like all of the things we all feel every day. Everybody's feeling it. But if you just do it anyway, then you did it. So it's
Yeah,
okay. Like it's okay that you don't like do it with like a smile on your face and it's like the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, it's just taking the action and then you feel so much better after it. But it's hard for all of us. We
it
all want
is.
to just do our same habits. I'm into Joe Dispenza. Do you know about
No.
well, he talks a lot about manifestation and has written several books, and I've just discovered Joe Dispenza, and it's all about what the power of thinking and how powerful our minds are and, what we think is our life. So,
I gotta look them up now because yeah, I love talking about that and hearing about that because I'm a big
yeah.
believer in it. I think that's a big reason I had the idea for this podcast. I just personally like I've always pursued where I can find magic in the world, and a lot of that has been in storytelling and the stories I'm taking in that I feel like have the power to create empathy, create healing, create understanding, create just a lot of things. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I think there's a lot of power and magic within that. And I'm
No
sure
doubt
for
about
you, who's in the world of also acting, and you also said you love to read and write. There's a lot of magic within that. And so I'm curious, where do you find magic in the world, whether it's in these creative spaces or even outside of it?
when I make a friend smile, you know, and it's not an easily won fake smile. It's genuine. It feels like magic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get up really early. I like watching the sunrise. Very simple. I'm very grateful to be alive. I'm just very grateful to be alive. I get joy from very simple things. And that's not to say I don't want a lot out of life. I'm not saying I don't want to accomplish things and do things. I just can for whatever reason, I'm able to derive a great joy from very simple things now, like moving my body. So that's where I feel bad.
I think that's really important too, though, and it's so funny. The more people I talk to, the more people have a similar answer where that's where they find the most joy and the most magic in life. And I think it's such a healthy and positive perspective to have, which you need in life in general, because, the world could be what you make of it. And so if you're seeing those little things and appreciating them and finding magic in them, things will never be as bad as they seem.
No, and there's always another day, you know?
Yeah. Well, my last question is, how do you hope to create magic for others?
I hope to continue to act and to do it that way through comedy. I love making people laugh. I hope to be able to do that again one day. That's what I would like to do. Yeah.
Well, I think you're absolutely succeeding and will continue to. I know that's definitely happened for me time and time again in times where I've needed it in different roles that you've played. And I know you're going to do so much more with your writing. And I'm crossing my fingers for directing because I know it's going to happen.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, now I know I want to because I'm like, I'm a
Yeah.
control freak.
Which is not a bad thing because I think you also understand every perspective. So you have a way of communicating with everyone that's part of a team.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I normally tell everyone listening to go out there and do some magic, which may sound a little familiar, but I would love for you to do the honors of saying your
Yeah.
name, and this time telling everyone out there to go and do some goddamn magic.
Hi, everyone. I'm Summer Bishil. Go out there and do some goddamn magic.
You heard her. Till next time, everybody.